That's enough fusion spammers for now. Let's go on to some Xyz spammers now. Rank 4 Xyz spammers, the most common one is Yu-Gi-Oh! Today we'll be taking a look at Raidraptors, one of the more famous rank 4 spammers now since they appeared in Arc 5 again. And they were used by Shun Kurosaki, also known as the big brother of Ruri Kurosaki, which I reviewed, her archetype I reviewed a bit earlier, Lyrilusk if you remember it. Well, anyway, yeah, these are the more generic rank 4 spammers, and yeah, let's get going and start off with their first monster, Raidraptor Painlanius. Alright, it's a level 1 with 100 attack and defense. Wow, nice. And cannot be used as an Xyz material for an Xyz summon except for the Xyz summon of a winged beast type monster. If this card is in your hand, you can target one Raidraptor monster you control that has a level, take damage equal to its attack or defense, whichever is lower, but your choice if tied. Jesus. And if you do, special summon this card. And if you do that, this card's level becomes the current level of the targeted monster. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Painlanius once per turn. The name is appropriate, but this ain't no Zephyrus the Elite. Well, yeah, it's more like the Zephyrus the Broken One. And I don't mean broken one as in terms of it's really good, I mean it's meh. Why would you want to take damage if you want to special summon this thing? I mean, this thing is summonable with 1-for-1 if we really want to stretch it. But yeah, this is primarily a rank 4 spam archetype, and yeah, it's not usually what you want to run in said archetype, since you mostly want to splash with only level 4s, as only level 4s have are the best thing to run in rank 4 spam builds. So, however, if you do run this, it's probably at 1 max. Goodbye. Alright, our next monster is Raidraptor Last Strix. If a Raidraptor monster you control battles while you have any spell or trap cards on the field or in your graveyard during the damage calculation in either player's turn, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then gain 100 life points for each spell and trap you control and in your graveyard. You can tribute this card, your opponent takes no battle damage this turn. Also, you can special summon one Raidraptor Xyz monster from your extra deck in defense position, but its effects are negated. Also, return it to the extra deck during the end phase. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Last Strix once per turn. I mean, wow, that life point boost is completely irrelevant. I mean, wow, that's one of the most insignificant life point boosts in the history of ever. And yeah, the special summoning from the extra deck would be nice 5 centuries ago, since you could use the extra deck monster for a rank up magic, because trust me, this archetype is plastered with rank up magics. And yeah, but if you ever want to do that, you need to summon some link monsters instead and secure usage out of those before you can get use this thing. And yeah, if you run this again, it's probably at 1 max. Goodbye. And yeah, that was both of their level 1s. Now going to their level 3, Raidraptor Skull Eagle. If this card is detached from an Xyz material and sent to the graveyard, to activate that monster's effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard and then target one Raidraptor card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Skull Eagle once per turn. An Xyz monster that was summoned using this card on the field as Xyz material gains this effect. If it is Xyz summoned, it gains 300 attack. Fun fact, this card, Big Belly Knight, and the Heavy Freight Train Derrick Crane are the only 3 monsters in the entire game who have an effect when they are detached from an Xyz monster to use their effect. And yeah, Derrick Crane is easily the best. This is the second best, and Big Belly Knight, I'm not even sure what it does, so I don't even know where to rank it. But anyway, the battle boost, the 300 attack boost, is completely insignificant, but the recycling effect is pretty neat and can be used in some situations where you need to quickly recycle something. And yeah, level 3 in a rank 4 spam archetype, but be sure they have one single rank 3, so yeah, we'll get to that later. But yeah, Skull Eagle, I mean, if you run the rank 3, you basically run at least 2 of them, so yeah. But it's a question if you should even run that rank 3, so yeah, run by preference. Alright, getting into the main meat of this archetype, we have their first level 4, Raidraptor Vanishing Lanius. Once per turn during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summoned this turn, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Raidraptor from your hand. And yes, if you have all 3 of them in your hand, that's an instant 4 monsters on the field, and it's mind-blowing how it can be really versatile in terms of link spamming and XC spamming. And not to mention it works well with Goblinberg, Kage to Kage, other rank 4 techs you can play, even Tin Goldfish if you ever so prefer to run this, but yeah. No question about it, you run Vanishing Lanius at 3 at all times, basically, in any build, which is amazing. So yeah, really good card. Although I wish the stats were a bit better. Their next monster is another level 4 Raidraptor Rooter Strix. If this card is special summoned from the hand by the effect of a Raidraptor card or normal summon, you can inflict 600 damage to your opponent. When an opponent's monster declares an attack that targets this card, you can special summon up to 2 Raidraptor monsters from your hand, and if you do, the monsters your opponent controls cannot target those monsters for attacks this turn. Potentially useful effect, even more so combined with Vanishing Lanius, but I mean, you must be prepared to block all the attacks the turn you use this effect, although you might lose valuable monsters this turn. I mean, it's okay. It's perfectly serviceable for the time, so yeah, run at least 1 or 2 of these if you feel like it. Next up we have Raidraptor Fuzzy Lanius. He don't look fuzzy to me. And if you control a Raidraptor monster other than Raidraptor Fuzzy Lanius, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Raidraptor Fuzzy Lanius from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Fuzzy Lanius once per turn. You cannot special summon monsters the turn you activate this effect except Raidraptor monsters. Another monster that works well in conjunction with Vanishing Lanius, and it's a searcher that searches just another copy of itself, which sucks, but warrants running it at 3. So yeah, it's another really good card. Although, again, why are the stats so abysmal? As we'll see on later, Raidraptors are an archetype known for their... That's my phone again. Raidraptors, like I said, are known as an archetype for their incredibly bare-bone main deck stats, only to serve as fodder for the main deck material, for the extra deck materials, sorry. And as we'll see, those can be pretty underwhelming sometimes, so yeah. But moving on, next up we have Raidraptor Mimicry Lanius. Once per turn during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summoned this turn, you can increase the levels of all Raidraptor monsters you currently control by 1. During your main phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, you can banish this card, add 1 Raidraptor card from your deck to your hand except Raidraptor Mimicry Lanius. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Mimicry Lanius once per turn. Again, you will run 2 or 3 of these because of the searching effect of any Raidraptor card. And if you're wondering why the level switching effect has... No, it's not another sick reference to Burner's Falcon, curse you Heraldic Beast, who doesn't have any monsters with levels above 4. You will be wrong. They do have a tribute monster, first of all. Yeah, it kinda sucks. And second of all, they have more than rank 4s. They have rank 6, rank 7, even up to rank 12s they have these beautiful birdies, mechanical birds of destruction. So yeah, Mimicry Lanius isn't kind of out of place here, so yeah. Still, weren't running at least 2 or 3 of these because of its searching effects, so yeah. Their next monster is Raidraptor Singing Lanius. If you control a face-up Xyz monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Raidraptor Singing Lanius once per turn this way. This is an incredibly underwhelming effect nowadays because, well, before you could summon this thing in order to prolong your Xyz plays, and why the hell can you only summon once per turn this way? This would be an awesome tech choice, which would be worth running this thing at 3 so you can secure more link usage, but no. It has abysmal stats and you can only summon once per turn this way. But still, run at least 1 or 2 of these because of this sweet special summoning effect. Alright, next up we have Raidraptor Sharp Lanius. Once per turn during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summoned instead, you can target one face-up attack position monster on the field, change it to face-up defense position during your main phase. That's another sentence, sorry. During your main phase 2, if this card attacked this turn, you can target one Raidraptor monster in your graveyard, special summon it. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Sharp Lanius once per turn. Defense position, the battle position effect is not that impressive to say the least, and the revival effect is insanely slow even for today's format. If it was immediately upon finishing the attack, then I'd call it a somewhat decent effect, and it has pretty tolerable stats for a level 4. But as it is now, it's really questionable to consider running this. Next up we have Raidraptor Avenge Vulture. If you take damage, you can special summon this card from your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Raidraptor monsters. This thing actually works quite well in conjunction with Pain Lanius, so yeah. If you run Pain Lanius, you probably want to run this thing as well, so yeah. Run both by preference, I'd say. Next up we have Raidraptor Booster Strix. When a Raidraptor monster you control is targeted for an attack by an opponent's monster, you can banish this card from your hand and destroy the attacking monster. So essentially it's kind of a better Battling Boxer Counterpunch, if you remember that for a review, and yeah, it's pretty damn admirable for what it does. It's also a target for Allure of Darkness, since most of them are probably dark attributes, so yeah. Running Allure of Darkness is a really nice strategy as well if you're playing Raidraptors. Their next monster is Raidraptor Necrovulture. Once per turn you can tribute one Raidraptor monster, then target one rank-up magic spell card in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Also, you cannot exceed a summon for the rest of this turn except with the effect of a rank-up magic card. This is a neat recycling ability, even more so since Argent Chaos Force is on the hits. And yeah, but I don't like how it locks you into special summoning with rank-up magics. Meaning you can only, you must use this effect only when you have an Xyz monster ready to be ranked up. Which I do not like in the slightest. Again, run by preference. Next monster is the Raidraptor Napalm Dragoonus. Alright, that's pretty admirable naming. So let's see how the effect holds up. Anyway, once per turn you can inflict 600 damage to your opponent. Also, monsters in your possession cannot activate their effects for the rest of this turn except Raidraptor monsters. When this card is destroyed by battle and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon one Raidraptor monster from your deck, but it has its effects negated. Alright, it's pretty admirable. I mean, it's weird how it locks out the effects of other monsters except Raidraptor monsters on your field. The burn damage is cute, but yeah, the search is the real meat of the effect and warrants running this thing to at least 2 or 3 of these, so yeah. It's an okay, you get a pass, Dragoonus. You will certainly live up to your name, sort of. Anyway, next up we have Raidraptor Tribute Lanius. During your main phase, if this card was normal or special summoned this turn, you can send one Raidraptor card from your deck to your graveyard. During your main phase 2, if this card was destroyed by an opponent's monster by battle this turn, you can add one rank-up magic quick play spell card from your deck to your hand. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Raidraptor monsters. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Tribute Lanius once per turn. The first effect is basically a Foolish Burial or Foolish Burial Goods for the archetype. And yeah, it kind of goes... It's pretty decent for what it does, and yeah, also it searches up a rank-up magic. However, this one needs to be a quick play. As we'll see on later, there are rank-up magics that are not quick plays, which are also decent, but cannot be searched, unfortunately, with this thing, so yeah. Alright, closing up the main deck lineup, we have Raidraptor Wild Vulture, a level 6, meaning it's a tribute monster. And during your main phase, if this card was normal or special summon this turn, you can tribute this card to special summon 2 Raidraptor monsters from your hand or graveyard whose total levels equal 6. And yes, this is, if you do have half a brain, you can deduce that you can only special summon 2 Skull Eagles with this thing. That's it. And yes, I'm gonna close this off quickly. Don't run this. Alright, going into their extra deck lineup, we have their Xyz monster, the rank 3 Raidraptor Fiend Eagle. Requires 2 level 3 Raidraptor monsters, or 2 Skull Eagles. You can detach 1 Xyz material from discard to target 1 face-up special summon monster your opponent controls, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack on the field. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Fiend Eagle once per turn. Ah, yes, out of place burn damage again, but I mean, you can do this. This isn't once per turn, which is nice, meaning if you target something like Quasar or Rainbow Neos, you're basically guaranteed a win if your opponent doesn't negate it, that is. So if you run this, it's probably at 1 as a tech choice or side option if you want to burn your opponent for really high attack monsters. Or for the maximum hilarity, you can use this on Bills the Diabolic Dragons and just burn for 9,000 damage. And it's amazing. Next up, alright, we have their main meat of the extra deck. We're going into the rank 4s. First up being Raidraptor Rise Falcon. Requires 3 level 4 winged beast type monsters. Has 100 attack and 2000 defense. And this card can attack all special summon monsters your opponent controls once each. Once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card and target 1 face-up special summon monster your opponent controls. This card gains attack equal to that monster's current attack. Fun fact, the anime effect had the effect of gaining the attack points of all special summon monster, just like Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. But as it is now, it's a kind of a one-trick pony that goes off every 16 blue moons. Nothing else to say. Still, though, it's one of their best rank 4s for a target for a rank up magic. Still, not everything is bad. Alright, moving on, we have Raidraptor Force Strix. It requires 2 level 4 monsters, and this card gains 500 attack and defense for each winged beast monster you control other than this card. Once per turn you can detach 1 material from this card to add 1 level 4 dark winged beast monster from your deck to your hand. Keep in mind, it says any level 4 dark winged beast, meaning you don't necessarily have to search out Raidraptors. I think DD Crow actually qualifies for this search, so yeah, this is a pretty good card. And yeah, it's basically one of their basic searchers, easily summonable at that, so yeah, you always run 3-4 Strixes in any Raidraptor build. Next up we have Raidraptor Blade Burner Falcon, a manga card, and requires 2 level 4 winged beast type monsters. And if this card is Xyz summoned and your opponent's life points are at least 3,000 higher than yours, you can make this card gain 3,000 attack and you can make this card gain 3,000 attack. When this card destroys an opponent's monster for battle, you can detach any number of Xyz materials from this card, destroy exactly that number of monsters your opponent controls. So yeah, this is a pretty kick-ass effect, if you know what I'm saying. And yeah, this basically warrants running the Pain Lanius to damage yourself in order to get this effect off easier. So yeah, we can basically deduce that the Raidraptor players are masochists, which is funny, to say the least, considering Shun was acting incredibly masochistic through some segments of the show. Well, anyway, this is one of their better boss monsters, earlier boss monsters, and it warrants running at least 2 or 3 spots in the extra decks. So yeah, you can't go wrong with this thing. Alright, that was their last rank 4. Now going on to their first rank 5, Raidraptor Blaze Falcon. Requires 3 level 5 winged beast type monsters, or a rank up magic. And this card can attack directly while it has Xyz material. When this card inflicts battle damage to your opponent, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. Once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, destroy as many special summon monsters your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each monster destroyed. Oh, this is basically an archetypal Scarlight, and it's pretty damn good. However, you mostly run this because it can be a target for another rank up magic to go into their rank 6 and beyond. which is okay. It's also a decent 2000 attack, 2000 defense wall, and it's perfectly serviceable for what it does, and it warrants running it at 1 or 2. Next up we have there another rank 5, that being Raidraptor Striker Falcon. I cannot read this rarity properly. I think it's Striker Falcon. Alright. Well, it requires 2 level 5 monsters, and if this card is Xyz summoned has an Xyz monster as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Xyz material from the discard, then target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. And if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. If this card is in your possession, destroyed by opponent's card or by battle or card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Raidraptor Xyz monster in your graveyard except Raidraptor's Stranger Falcon. That's what it says. Special summoning it. If you do, attach this card to it as an Xyz material. Alright, so this is... So yeah, it's basically... I said its name wrong. I said Striker Falcon instead of Stranger Falcon. But yeah, this effect is not so underwhelming, because you will always use the Xyz material as this card's Xyz material, because there are no... Well, basically it's actually generic level 5, so yeah, I mean rank 5, so yeah, you'll always be using an Xyz material as a... Xyz monster as a Xyz material for this thing, so it's pretty good. But the effect is... meh overall. You're better off just using Blaze Falcon instead of this thing. Anyway, let's go into the rank 6 lineup. First up being Raidraptor Revolution Falcon. Requires 3 level 6 winged beast monsters, and you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card. This turn, this card can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. At the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's face-up special summon monster, that monster's attack and defense becomes 0. If this card has a Raidraptor Xyz monster as an Xyz material, it gains this effect. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy it. And if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to the half of the attack of the destroyed monster instead. So yeah, the rank 6 lineup is, along with the rank 4s, the best lineup the Archetype has, and this is the pure example of it, since it offers decent utility for how you're supposed to special summon it. It can attack all monsters, they have access to some attack boosting cards, so not everything is bad. It's pretty decent, so yeah, we're running at least 1 or 2 of these. Alright, there, looking up at another level, rank 6, we have Raidraptor Revolution Falcon Air Raid, a manga counterpart of this. Requires 3 level 6 winged beast type monsters, and you can also Xyz summon this card by discarding 1 rank up magic spell card. Then using a rank 5 or lower Raidraptor monster you control as the Xyz material. If this card is Xyz summoned, you can target 1 monster your opponent controls, destroy that monster, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack. If this card is destroyed by your opponent by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can special summon 1 Raidraptor Revolution Falcon from your extra, and if you do, attach this card to it as an Xyz material. So yeah, just like Revolution Falcon, the ordinary one, this is also worth running because it also floats into the regular one, which is perfectly amazing. It also has a massive 3000 wall, and it's really good. I mean, I am impressed. You usually want to go into this first, other than the first Revolution Falcon. So yeah, again, run as many copies as you of this as you would run usually the original Revolution Falcon. If you run 1 or 2, which you should always run 1 or 2 of these. And yeah, I also like how the summoning requirement is the same as the Utopic Dragon. Another reference there. Was it a reference? I don't know. You gotta ask them Konami developers over there. Alright, now we're going on to 1 rank higher. We have Raidraptor Arsenal Falcon. It's a rank 7, requires 2 level 7 monsters, and once per turn you can detach 1 Xyz material from this card, special summon 1 level 4 monster from your deck. If this card has a Raidraptor monster as an Xyz material, it can attack up to that number of times during each battle phase. If this card is sent to the graveyard while it has a Raidraptor monster as an Xyz material, you can special summon one Raidraptor Xyz monster from your extra decks except Raidraptor Arsenal Falcon, and if you do, attach this card from your graveyard to that my Xyz monster as Xyz material. Ah yes, rank 4s and rank 7s are considered to be the best ranks in the game, and this card pretty damn well proves it. First off, it special summons any level 4 monsters, which is amazing considering we're talking about Raidraptors here. And then it can float into any Raidraptor boss monster, which we'll get into later on, which is also amazing, and it even secures Xyz materials for said boss monster. Yes, run at least one of these, and 2 tops. This thing is best ran at 2 max. 3 can be a bit cloggy, and yeah, this is a really good card. Alright, moving on to one of their first 3 boss monsters we have first off Raidraptor Satellite Cannon Falcon, a rank 8 which requires 2 level 8 winged beast monsters, and if this card is Xyz summoned by using a Raidraptor monster as material, you can destroy all spell and traps your opponent controls. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation. Quick effect. You can detach one Xyz material from this card and target one face-up monster your opponent controls. It loses 800 attack for each Raidraptor monster in your graveyard. So yeah, I really like the Harpy's Feather Duster effect, which also comes with negation. And then by the time you actually summon this thing, your graveyard is going to be plastered with Raidraptors. So you're looking at approximately 2000 plus attack reduction, which is really lovely. So yeah, this thing is never dead basically whenever you summon it. So yeah, run 1 or 2 if you really feel like it, but I find 1 to be pretty fine. Next up we have another boss monster, and that being Raidraptor Ultimate Falcon. It requires 3 level 10 winged beast type monsters, and is unaffected by other card effects. You can detach one Xyz material from this card, and for the rest of this turn, all monsters your opponent controls lose 1000 attack. Also, your opponent's cards and effects cannot be activated. If this card has a Raidraptor monster as an Xyz material, gains this effect. Once per turn during your end phase, you can make all monsters your opponent controls lose 1000 attack. If your opponent controls no face-up monsters, inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. Jesus Christ, effect overload here we have, but this basically screams an anime adaptation boss monster. I mean, this thing is unaffected by almost everything. Well, it's unaffected by all card effects. It burns like crazy, has really high attack at that, and yeah, you always want to run this in any Raidraptor build because it's just that insane. And I'm just trying to figure out how did Shun summon this thing twice in order to be destroyed both those times. It's really crazy if you think about it. First time it was with Crow, and second time I think Yuya destroyed it in the final duel he had in the epilogue. I'm not sure, but damn, was this thing underutilized. Alright, now for their final ultimate boss monster, we have Raidraptor Final Fortress Falcon. Gee, I didn't encounter this in Sonic Heroes. Well, anyway, it requires 3 level 12 monsters, which is really weird because level 12 monsters don't tend to be used as Xyz material. Well, anyway, if this card has a Raidraptor Xyz monster as an Xyz material, it is unaffected by other cards' effects. Once per turn, you can detach one material from this card, and return all banished Raidraptor monsters to the graveyard. Up to twice per turn, when this attacking card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, you can banish one Raidraptor Xyz monster from your graveyard. This card can attack once again in a row. Just like Ultimate Falcon, you tend to run this in any Raidraptor build because it's that insane, and getting the Raidraptor Xyz monsters and Xyz material from this card is never an issue. So we have another unaffected by anything effect, and it can attack twice. It can attack twice with this much attack. Not exactly a Quasar, but might as well be how powerful this thing is. So yeah, this is a really insane card, and you should always run it at your leisure. Alright, moving on to their spell and trap lineup. First up we have the normal spell, Raidraptor Call. Target one Raidraptor monster you control. Special summon one monster with the same name as that monster on the field from your hand or deck in defense position. You can only activate one Raidraptor Call per turn. You cannot special summon monsters during the turn you activate this card except Raidraptor monsters. Just like some level 4 monsters, you always tend to run at least 2 or 3 of these because it's easy swarming and it's never dead in your hand, most of the time. Alright, next up we have the continuous spell, Raidraptor Nest. If you control 2 or more Raidraptor monsters, you can add one Raidraptor monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Nest once per turn. You never want to go on without at least 3 of these because the searching effect it offers is that good. Even in today's format where you usually need to invest in some link monsters, you will usually have 2 or more Raidraptors for this to perform a search, so this thing is always ran at 3 in any Raidraptor build. Next up we have the equip spell Raidraptor Ultimate Mace. Equip only to a Raidraptor monster. It gains 1000 attack. When the equipped monster is targeted for an attack by a monster whose attack is higher than the equipped monster, you can add one rank up magic spell card from your deck to your hand, and if you do, you take no battle damage from that battle. The only candidate for this equipped spell will be Force Strix, and that's about how high it goes. And yeah, searching up rank up magic, yeah, there are better ways to search up the rank up magic, so if you ever run this, you will probably run it at 1 max. Next up we have their first rank up magic Raid Force. Target one face up Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck one Raidraptor monster that is 1 rank higher than the target, by using the target as the Xyz material. The special summon is treated as as an Xyz summon, and you transfer the materials. You can banish this card from your graveyard and one Raidraptor card from your hand, and target one rank up magic spell card in your graveyard except rank up magic Raid Force added to your hand. Basically some sort of prototype of archetypal Argent Chaos Force, and it's pretty serviceable for the time, and basically you run at least 2 of these. Nothing pretty much else to say about this, and it enables rank 5s. Next up magic we have rank up magic Raptor's Force, a quick play. If a Raidraptor Xyz monster was destroyed and sent to the graveyard this turn while you controlled it, target one Raidraptor Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon it. Then special summon from your extra deck one Raidraptor monster that is 1 rank higher than that monster by using it as an Xyz material, and the special summon is treated as an Xyz monster. Not exactly a quick chaos, is it? Well, it's more like a worse version of that, but still, it can be a decent protection effect if we wanna call it that, but yeah, you usually run this at 1 or 2. Next up we have rank up magic Revolution Force. During your turn, target one Raidraptor Xyz monster you control, special summon from your extra deck one Raidraptor monster that is 1 rank higher than the target by using that target as an Xyz material. During your opponent's turn, yeah, this thing is a quick play, I failed to mention. Target one Xyz monster your opponent controls with no Xyz materials, take control of that Xyz monster, then special summon from your extra deck one Raidraptor monster that is 1 rank higher than that monster by using it as an Xyz material. The special summons are treated as Xyz summons, and attached materials become transferred. The opponent's turn effect, which you probably want to use most, but basically kind of meanders between formats because during its inception it could have been pretty sweet to pull up, but nowadays you need to take into consideration that you have the proper link set up for this thing to go off, and that the opponent has some Xyz monsters on the field, and they mustn't have Xyz materials. Wonderful. I mean, you can take in Galaxy Eyes to get rid of them. Yeah, no, but yeah, you basically use the first effect most of the time. Next up we have another quick play, rank up magic Doom Double Force. Target one Raidraptor Xyz monster in your graveyard that was destroyed by battle and sent there this turn. Special summon it, and then special summon from your extra deck one Xyz monster that has twice the rank of that monster by using it as the Xyz material. The special summon is treated as an Xyz summon. So you basically run at least 2 or 3 of these because of and use it in conjunction with Revolution Falcon to summon Final Fortress Falcon, or use it in conjunction with Blaze Falcon to summon Ultimate Falcon. So yeah, this thing is pretty insane, and you should always max out on it in conjunction with the ratio of you running Blaze Falcon or Revolution Falcon. Then we have Rank Up Magic Skip Force. Target one Raidraptor Xyz monster you control. Special summon from your extra deck one Raidraptor monster that is 2 ranks higher than the target. By using that monster as an Xyz material, the special summon is treated as an Xyz summon, and you transfer the materials. During your main phase, except the turn this card was into the graveyard, you can banish this card and one Raidraptor monster in your graveyard, then target one Raidraptor Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon it. So yeah, you basically run this at 3 because we mostly want to summon Revolution Falcon with this thing, or Revolution Falcon Air Raid. So yeah, it's really good. You always max out on this one, as I said. Next up we have Rank Up Magic Soul Shave Force. Pay half your life points, then target one Raidraptor monster in your graveyard, special summon it. And then special summon from your extra deck one Xyz monster that is 2 ranks higher than the monster. By using this as an Xyz material, and the special summon is treated as an Xyz summon. So yeah, just like the Skip Force, you basically run 2 or 3 of these because of Revolution Falcon and Revolution Falcon Air Raid. Yeah, nothing pretty much else to say about this thing. Alright, moving on to the trap lineup, we have Raidraptor Readiness. This turn, Raidraptor monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. If you have a Raidraptor monster in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard and you take no damage this turn. Tolerable protection and basically nothing else to say. Although I would have wished this thing protected you from effect targeting as well. But we have what we have, and you cannot change that, can ya? Alright, next up we have Raidraptor Replica. Target one Raidraptor monster you control, special summon one monster with the same name from your deck, and if you do, as long as you control the face-up special summon monsters your opponent controls cannot target a monster for attacks. Also, your opponent cannot target the targeted monsters with card effect. I mean, you rarely use this for protection, as you use it for swarming rather than protection. So yeah, basically you run 2 or 3 of these because it's easy swarming, and that's all we need in today's link-focused meta. But anyway, next up we have Raidraptor Return, and that's the semi-final trap card. If a Raidraptor monster you control is destroyed by battle, target one Raidraptor monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If a face-up Raidraptor monster you control is destroyed by a card effect, you can banish this card from your graveyard, add one Raidraptor card from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Raidraptor Return once per turn. As clunky as it may seem, this is one of your best ways to search out some archetypal cards, and you basically want to run at least 2 of these. So yeah, run at least 2 of these. And their final card is Raidraptor's Gust, a counter trap. When a spell or trap card is activated while you control a Raidraptor card, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Easy archetypal negation, and when it's running this thing at 2 or 3, so yeah, it's a pretty good negation effect. Alright, now it's time for the grades. Consistency, provided how much swarming they offer, and since they have access to Allure of Darkness and Team Goldfish, Summoner Monk, and Kage Tokage, Goblin Bird, they have access to absolutely anything. Vanishing Lanius is a thing, along with Fuzzy Lanius and maybe Pain Lanius if you consider running that thing. So consistency, in my opinion, should get a really fat 3 out of 3 here. Power, since Ultimate Falcon and Fortress Falcon are a thing, and when they are relatively easy to bring out, I must be obliged to get them a 3 out of 3 in this aspect. Now, comeback ability purely depends on Soul Charge most of the time, which is not the most optimal way to run the decks, and most likely you're gonna get a single or two rank 4 monsters, and maybe you can even get a higher rank if you happen to have a rank up magic in your hand at the time. But mostly it's not going to matter, so yeah, mostly you're relying on Soul Charge, and that's a 1 out of 3 there in the comeback department. protection exists in form of Ultimate Falcon and Fortress Falcon, but that's about as far as it goes, and none of the main deck lineup kind of sticks out there. So yeah, it's another 1 out of 3 there. And as for the versatility, I have to give them at least 2 out of 3 because they are rank 4 spammers and they have access to a lot of builds, and since they're dark monsters and they have also have access to DD Crow, which is insanely splashable, and they also have access to Ice Beast Zero Fine, which is also another excellent tech choice, which, yeah, they get a 2 out of 3 in versatility. So yeah, Raidraptors turned out better than I expected them to be, especially since the passage of time, since they got the Revolution Falcon Air Raid, which was another really insane card for them, and the Blade Burner Falcon also helps in that regard. So yeah, Raidraptors were an interesting thing, and yeah, that's pretty much it for this review. And yeah, I only have 3 archetype analysis left and 1 top 10 list before my winter break and before I slightly veer into the Let's Play genre a bit. So yeah, it's kind of unusual how I'll do these last 3 archetype analysis, but stay tuned, you will be surprised. Thank you so much for watching, stay tuned for more videos, if there's an updates, comment, like and subscribe, and as usual I'll upload the next vid whenever I can. See you all, have a good day, and peace.